Hi. Hi guys. So, let me put this down because it doesn't fit very well. So, I thought I'd use this video as a chance, just a bit of comedy value. We'll do a crisp speech, much like the beloved Queen does back in the UK. But also just a chance to catch up on stuff that I haven't been able to do a video for, because I've been so busy especially past sort of 4 or 5 months. So just general points and tips to do with back pain and things that I've noticed, and general sort of trends that I've noticed as well. So again, you might find some little useful tidbits and kind of clinical pearls in here, which should make your journey with back pain a little bit easier. First point is back pain and weight loss. So I've definitely noticed something in the past 10 years or so. There's a big correlation between helping people fix their back pain and helping them lose a little bit of weight as well. I don't think there's anything super magical going on here. There's definitely a correlation. So I would say it's more to do with when you're in pain less, you tend to comfort eat less. So it's easier to kind of, not get into that pattern of comfort eating and reaching out for foods to make you feel better because you had a lousy day with your back pain. So again, that tends to happen quite a lot, and it's happened a lot. A lot of people have come to it looking for weight loss and happy working on their back issue at the same time. They've actually dropped a bit of weight just from that. Also the bonus is once you get kind of far enough into your back pain rehab, obviously you can start to add in more exercise and activities that you enjoy, which again is going to help with that kind of that calorie balance and helping you lose a bit of weight. But definitely there's a correlation in initial stages between making you feel less pain day to day and helping to control sort of comfort stroke emotional eating. So that's again a little bit of a bonus I found for pretty common for a lot of people. Less back pain, less comfort eating, so they start to lose a little bit of weight. Okay, next one is a general observation that I've seen that quite often the people that have what would appear to be the mildest back injuries generally take the longest to get a solid improvement in, and two people that I've seen that have had the most horrific injuries, certainly on paper and MRI scans and everything else, were actually the quickest to start getting a positive result. So two worst cases I've had thus far, Andy, that was back in Sydney in like 2015, 2016. And then if you ever remember that scene from The Predator where the log swings down and smashes the guy in the back. That's basically what happened to him, because he's a tree surgeon. He got smashed in the back by a log. It shattered a few of his transverse processes on one side of his spine. So when he came to see me, he'd already had a couple of surgeries and probably about 18 months of physio and was just getting stuck because weren't given the right stuff to do. But once we had him the right stuff to do for him, very quick turnaround for him. Like he noticed a dramatic change in pain and the back being a lot more robust in just a few weeks. So again, that's one of the worst ones I've dealt with, quickest turnaround. The second biggest issue would be Roscoe. So he's had obviously 4 major spinal surgeries and 10 smaller sort of procedures. And again, pretty quick turnaround once we had him doing the right things within a few weeks. There was a noticeable difference. And the kind of gnawing ache that was there day to day was subsided pretty quickly. He could actually stand up straight again. So obviously with the amount of surgeries he's had, fairly serious damage to his spine, but again, quick turnaround. So I've noticed that people that have major problems generally get quicker results than those with smaller problems. So there could be a few things to look at it, but one thing I've noticed that kind of sits on top of that is people with an active job or more labour intensive job generally respond quicker as well versus people who tend to sit in an office. And now with people working from home, that's made that kind of change even more, or that difference even more noticeable, because now people are working at home, they're moving even less again. So at least when they're in work, they're sort of travelling to and from work, they're walking around work, getting a coffee, going to see their friend in the next office, whatever it may be. Whereas at home, they could pretty much be sat still for hours and then literally not move. So I'd say, two things to take away are, generally people with very serious injuries seem to just get it a lot quicker and get on top of managing their aggravators and getting stuck into the work a lot better. And also people with much more active jobs and day-to-day life generally tend to do better as well. So that's a good incentive. If you're the sort of person that works from home, you definitely want to start in some half-hour walks or 20-minute walks here or there during the day to try and break the day up, because I've seen that have a massive positive impact for people. But also the guys with slightly minor injuries, for whatever reason, they tend to be slower at removing their aggravators or getting on top of them. And for whatever reason tend to need more help with getting the exercises right, or holding themselves accountable with getting the exercises right. So something to take home there. So again, if you do have a very sedentary kind of lifestyle, you're just working from home, generally trying to get some more sensible movement in there is definitely going to help. Okay, so the next biggest trend I've noticed, which is something that's kind of got progressively worse over the past 5 or 6 years or so, and that's to do with people with lower back pain also having upper neck and shoulder and upper back and posture issues, in their upper body. So for example, 5-6 years ago, when I used to recommend McGill curls to people, I might have 1 in 3 people have a neck issue on that exercise. It's now literally 9 out of 10, or realistically more like 9.5 out of 10. So it's very rare now I'll give someone some McGill curls and there isn't some sort of issue with the neck that becomes identified by doing that exercise. So again, that could be just a general trend in people spending more time looking down at screens, so obviously looking at things like phones. Laptops are particularly bad as well if you work on a laptop and actually working on the laptop, because with the keyboard you're kind of hunched and then you're looking down at the screen as well. So one way to get around that, if you have to work on a laptop, especially if you're working with a home office, is to set up a docking station. So you've got a separate big screen or 2 screens if you need it, laptop to the side, separate mouse and keyboard as well, so you can sort of spread things out a little bit. And also if you've got like a height adjustable desk, that can make a big difference, because you can sit for a bit, stand for a bit, kneel for a bit as well, even better. But you can sort of move and change your height a little bit, but also you're not all kind of just stuck hunched over. So the worst thing to do if you're working at home is to work on a coffee table while being sat on the couch. So that's the worst thing to do. Best thing to do is get a proper home office sort of docking station set up. Get yourself spread out, height adjustable screens, and let everything sort of spread so you can maintain a decent posture while you're working for hours and hours. And again, this sort of neck and shoulder issue now is changing the way that I'm having to address back issues. So before, we generally sort of go for a set sequence of the McGill Big 3, so McGill, curl, slab, which is bird dogs. What I've found now is that at some point I'll have to introduce some upper body work a lot earlier, because people are getting problems on the McGill curl or the side bridges. So again, that's just a general trend. I think we spend all too much time, looking down at phones and laptops and screens and all the rest of it. That's definitely affecting or increasing the amount of problems I now have to deal with in terms of shoulder and neck issues. So one solution to that is to actually introduce Dr. Locke's Big 3, or for a lot of people just the Big 2 initially, for shoulders. So that's a sequence of 3 movements, but I find the T-shape, a lot of people get that horribly wrong, especially if they're quite tight in the shoulders. So you want to initially stick to the first 2, which is the hands by your side version, because that's going to kind of set everything up and make you nice and stable, and kind of undo some of that time spent, hunched over a screen. So that can be a solution for you. Next point is one of my sort of lessons, things that I've learned, or just reminded myself of in the past month or so. So attention to detail. So if you have back pain, then you've got pain triggers and aggravators that are creating that back pain. So it could be movement based or it could be posture based. But if you have back pain, you're doing things to irritate your injury. So obviously the goal of all the aggravators is you want to get through whole days without aggravating it at all. So that requires a constant methodical attention to detail with how you're moving and how you're doing things. So it's very common, for example, for people with back issues to have very tight hips. When they have tight hips, they tend to overcompensate by flexing or rounding from the lower back to try and get that kind of, or compensate for that hip hinge movement by pushing the extra work into the lower back and flexing and rounding. So what we need to obviously do is get people more confident in using their hips. Now, one of the problems that I had this week is I actually changed my shorts, my uniform, a couple of weeks ago, and they were just that slightly bit tighter than the ones I've got on at the moment, which are a little bit faded now because I need to replace them. But because they're a little bit tighter, I actually found during the day as I was running around picking things up in the gym, it was making me sort of, not quite get my hips back far enough and get that last little bit of extra difference out of bending my lower back because I couldn't get my hips back enough.
Are you serious?
Which sounds crazy, that the kind of, the clothes that you wear could be affecting your back. But again, your back's only responding to the aggravators. So if you've got clothes that are a bit too tight and making you bend in a goofy way, eventually it's going to irritate your back and it's going to drain your bank account. So again, that's the attention to detail we need to do. And sometimes the way to get there is to get to kind of normal where you're pain-free, and then you'll know if something changes or something gets tight again. You just got to be aware if it is, we'll work out what it is and get on top of it very quickly before it escalates. So obviously I've gone back to my older shorts, which again have faded, and now my back feels fine because I'm actually able to bend, or hip hinge properly and get my hips back rather than bending from my lower back. So sounds stupid, but it does make a difference over the course of a day. That wraps it up from me. So I'd like to say to all of you, obviously, wish you a very Merry Christmas or a happy holiday, and obviously a Happy New Year as well. And to those that haven't yet worked for me and are thinking about it, don't waste your time, get on board, and we can get you on the right track for a stronger, pain-free and more robust spine for the new year. So with that said, I wish you all the very best for the year ahead. I look forward to working with you guys over the next year and looking forward to seeing what we can achieve.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho.